Hello everyone, my name is Vicky or Victoria or Vic if you're my sister. I'm a historian and fibre artist and I guess papercrafts person as well, based in Manchester in the UK, and I am the very real, if confused, human being behind Fibre Haptic. Today I'm going to show you one of the most useful things I have made in the past 6 months, and that is this little portable collage kit. Sort of a folio situation. It's made out of some envelopes which came with some junk mail. It has a big pocket at the front with lots of different scraps in. It's got a second full-length pocket at the back, again holding lots and lots of different scraps for collaging. And in the centre it ends up with a half pocket, another half pocket, and a whole bunch of larger papers which are held in place temporarily but not fastened down by this piece of thread running all the way around the outside. So this means that instead of having a lot of loose papers in a bag or a box, if I want to take a very sort of compact set of papers with me, this gives me larger pieces for backgrounds, which I can just pull out or tear a strip off, and then a way of organising all of my smaller scraps. They're not very organised at the minute because I've been using this quite a lot, but if you're a bit more systematic than I am, you can keep yours nicely organised by neutrals, colours, patterns, different tones, whether they've got writing on, however you want to separate things out. This is a really neat way of doing it so that you can take this with you, get it out for a few minutes in a cafe, in the pub, wherever you happen to want to do a little bit of collaging on your lunch break or whatever, and it all goes neatly back in here, and it's a size that should fit fairly easily into a pencil case or the front pocket of a bag, however you're carrying this around. I just sort of made this on a whim, again, like I said, just out of a pile of junk mail that I had. There's another bit of junk mail there that I've used as a cover. You can sort of see the inside of the cover there. It's got a bit of a design on it. I had no idea how much use I would end up getting out of this, and I am so glad I made it. It's come in extremely handy when I've been out for the day, away for the weekend. I've put extra bits of torn off bits of leaflet and tickets in here as well at various points. This has become an essential item, really. So I'm going to show you how I made this. What you need for this is at least 3 envelopes of exactly the same size. In this case, I have cut the flaps off, but you could just fold those inside, stick those down if you wanted to reinforce that back bit somewhat. I've cut mine off. You need a glue stick, you need some string or thread or whatever you're going to put around the central spine, and you're probably going to want an extra cover. Now I have cut my cover to be the same, hang on, is this the right orientation? The same height as the envelope, but ever so slightly wider. And this is because you need to account for a slight thickness of the spine. So we need to account for this little bit here, which will only be a few millimeters, but you're not going to know exactly how much extra you'll need until the whole thing is stuck together. So, same height, but ever so slightly wider. And each of our envelopes, we're going to fold them exactly in half. Smoothing that down. Exactly in half, making sure that we've got the gaps all oriented the same way. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick, that's going to be our first page essentially. This is going to be our half of our second page, and we're going to stick that side there to this side here. So then when you turn the page, you get the next pocket. And then we're going to stick that side of that page to this side of this envelope. So again, you turn the page, you get the next pocket, and then that is going to be our back cover, or it's going to get covered up with our back cover. So let's get cracking with that. And of course I've gone and brought up with me the glue stick that has not enough glue left in it. So first of all, let me fetch a different one. Right, I brought two up just to be sure. There certainly seems to be some sort of natural law in operation that if I have sight of my good scissors, which I do at the minute, they're in front of me, the glue sticks will have run away or run out. Glue stick. We are going to cover this side using our messy mat or piece of scrap paper as a surface to glue onto, in case, like that, we go over the edge. Stick that all down, and we are going to, as carefully as we can, match up our edges. The whole of that surface is going to be glued to the next envelope. There we go. And again with the next one. If I sound a little bit out of breath today, it's because it's been a mad week here in Manchester. The heat wave was not quite as hot. The highs weren't quite as hot as previously. So that was bearable with the windows open at the right times, managing the breeze, managing the kind of heat coming in and going out. That was okay until we got to the weekend, at which point some of Greater Manchester's most civic-minded residents managed to, how do I put this without prejudicing any sort of case against them? A group of people went and let off fireworks on the very, very, very dry moorland near Manchester, and a very short amount of time afterwards, in fact, while they were in the process of letting off the fireworks, a fire started. And that fire has been going for 4 days now, and the wind has been in exactly the right direction to blow a massive cloud of smoke over Manchester. I think predominantly over like central and southern Manchester, which is where I live, but really all of it's been affected. Nowhere near as badly as the people actually living up in that part of the countryside have been affected. It's been absolutely awful for them, awful for all of the fire crews and the wildfire specialists who are up there. But yeah, pretty much everyone in Manchester has had now at least 4 days of choosing between opening the windows and letting all of the smoke in, or closing the windows and suffering the heat. Because of course very few buildings, very few residences in Manchester have air conditioning, because up until really very recently, we just haven't needed air conditioning really in this part of the country, or in most of Britain. It just hasn't been worth installing them for the maybe 3 days of the year when it gets particularly hot, whereas now it's getting hot more often, and it is especially unbearable when very, very smart people set off essentially incendiary devices on very, very dry peatland. Because of course this particular ecosystem, it is made out of fuel. So if you've got, my understanding is if you've got a wildfire on peat, that can continue smouldering under the surface, underground, invisible for a very long time, and restart the fires again. So my assumption is that the firefighters are having to deal with a lot of that as well. Anyway, so that's been my week. That's why I'm a little out of breath today. I needed quite an easy project to show you. So, right, this is our little booklet of pockets. I am now going to stick the cover on. You can use all sorts of things for the cover. You need to be able to bend it in the middle reasonably flexibly. You can't really use very stiff cardboard for this. This is one of my acrylic gel prints on some fairly hefty cartridge paper. That's about the right thickness, but all sorts of things you can use. Like I said, for this one, for the other one, I did use some junk mail and then a gel print over the top of that. So that's what that's made out of. So I'm not too bothered about which way up this is, but if you do have a directional print, this is the time to sort out your orientation. Again, we're gonna be lining up that the edge of the first envelope with the edge of the print there. I'm going to put glue on both surfaces this time, both on this piece of paper and on the envelope itself, just to make sure those really adhere to each other. There we go. Ooh. Try, if possible, not to get glue over the edge like that. It's easier when the glue isn't quite as warm as it is today. Okay, lining our edges up as best as we can. It's gone a little bit skew-iff. That'll be alright. Smoothing that down to get out any wrinkles if we can. I'm going to flip it round. Oop. And I'm going to, in the end, bend this round and glue the other side. They are a bit looser. The other minor disaster that went and befell me since I last filmed went out for a friend's birthday on Saturday. That wasn't the disastrous bit, that was lovely. Shout out to the birthday boy Calvin. Hello Calvin, happy birthday again. I had a brilliant night, fantastic time in Stockport. Went to quite a few places that I hadn't been before. Stockport's really up and coming in terms of the nightlife, the sort of restaurants and cafes that are going on. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been out in Stockport, but that was really good. Made it through till about 2 AM, had been fairly sensible and everything. Shared a taxi back with a friend to their house. He lives 2 streets away from me. Set off to come back to my house, and ended up on the floor with a twisted ankle, because occasionally, ever since I had quite a nasty fall while hiking, sometimes my ankle will just decide it's not going to hold me up anymore. It just decides that actually it would rather I was sitting on the floor. So yeah, hobbled home with a sprained ankle. Well, got my husband to come and meet me a couple of streets away. He was nice enough to come leave the house and find me. So that's been about 2.5 days with swollen ankle, elevated on a cushion while I am in bed or on the sofa, generally feeling sorry for myself while also being too hot and everything smelling of smoke. However, that did give me a lot of time to work in my junk journal, the one that I made on camera a few weeks ago out of a greetings card. So while I have been convalescing and not very mobile, I have managed to work quite a lot in that. So every cloud has a silver lining, even if the light you can see is occasionally a distant wildfire. So that's our cover all stuck down. I am going to just trim off that little bit of excess there. Neaten up that edge a bit without slicing through the edge of the envelopes. That is quite important. Went a bit wonky there. There we go. Our excess trimmed. And now we are going to do our central string. I try to hold that neatly at the bottom with my thumb while I loop it around the spine as many times as it'll go. Oh, not quite. How did I manage to do that? Oh well, twice it is. And then I'm just gonna, pull that, not super tight, not so that it's cutting into the cover. We are gonna have to stuff quite a few bits of paper behind it, but just enough so it's got a bit of give in it. Stand that up on its edge. That's been knotted, well, crossed over once. Crossing it over, whoop. Again, just a basic overhand knot, and another one, just for good measure. And then I'm going to trim those little ends off far enough from the knot that that's not going to start unraveling. So there's my little folio, and now I am going to stuff it with papers. So I think first some of our bigger pieces. Let's see if we fold that in half, is that going to fit? Yep, just about. So I'm going to find, well, doesn't have to be the midpoint, but we're going to crease them roughly near the middle, and then we're going to feed them, each piece, under the string so that when we fold the whole thing up, that'll be neatly enclosed. We've got some neutral packaging here. Stick that in. A few painted book pages. Those in there as well, and I've got quite a bit of tissue paper as well, which I never really know where to keep my little bits of tissue paper, so finally I have a solution to that now that I have a second folio. Come on, get in. That folded up there, that should stay enclosed. that little scrap I think I'm going to put in one of the pockets. Just put that in there with that as well. That's got some purple on it. A bit of a purple set going on. Now I think we can just about fit a few more bits of tissue paper in here. Once this has been squished into a bag or placed under a book or something, this will all flatten out. How big's that going to be? Let's do it that way instead. Fold you up like that, fold you roughly like that. Get you in there. You can see you can get quite a few bits in. Yet more of that bright pink. You can see me going to get a bit sick of that bright pink, but oh well, in we go for now. Let's crease that up a bit. There's a few bits sticking out, but we can always just recenter those slightly. Fuss about with them a little bit. Let's see what else I've got. These are some other small scraps that I've pulled out of places. So, a bit more purple stuff, or I might organise this in terms of thin strips. Doesn't matter if that sticks out a bit. I'll fold this one in half. Go. Let's see if we want more tissue paper with bits of acrylic paint on in this case. You're not quite going to fit in there. Let's stuff you in this one. Let's put some other coloured bits. You can see whatever system I was starting with has already gone to pot and will continue to do so, but you lovely people may be able to organise things a lot better with one of these. Bunch more greeny purpley bits. Again, this is some packaging paper that I've rolled some excess paint onto while printing. Bit of plain packaging. I'm going to put some plain bits in here, I guess. Oh, you're not plain. Not anymore. Bit of black and white. There we go. And so on and so forth. I'm going to tear that in half. Slip that in there. Some of you may well be howling at me at the minute that this isn't the best way to organise anything, and I know that I'm not the best person to organise anything. That's why this is happening. There we go. So lots of lovely scraps for collaging. If I want to now, I could put another piece of string around here, or a hair tie even, bit of elastic. I could put a bulldog clip on the end of here, on the edge of here, just to keep it all together. There's a lot of options for keeping this closed. And if I take that and a small pair of scissors and a glue stick and some little pieces of card or paper or whatever I want to collage onto, if I put all of that, maybe a couple of pens into a pencil case, I have got a fully functioning, all singing, all dancing travel collage kit. So I hope that has been useful. I am sorry for all of the complaining about, you know, the weather and the atmospheric conditions and things. Please do, if you have liked this video, please do actually officially like the video. It makes a huge difference to the kind of reach and the kind of momentum that this channel gets. Subscribe if you haven't already. I promise I'm not always negative in the videos. Sometimes we have a lot of fun. And hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.